An AFL media figure is officially out of control. Big opinions, big headlines, and big biases that are seen everywhere if you like to watch AFL media shows and videos. But even for Kane Cornes, his latest exploits might have gone too far. So does the volcano really believe the things he says? Or is it a ploy to create online frenzies, which in this day and age often translates to views, which therefore translates to money being made? He's certainly unique in his approach to football media, and whether you like it or not, it is paying off. It was his criticism of Harry Sheezel that caught the eyes of a lot of people. The 20-year-old is getting plenty of the ball, but his overall effectiveness hasn't been to the level it was in 2024. That level was the 11th best player at the end of the 2024 season. Has Sheezel been bad, or the reason North have won just a single game this season? No, he's also played forward, on ball and defence, trying to help his team win. He is in a form slump, a minor one at that, but this take on his play was bizarre.
His ball winning ability, so he's 4th in the comp for disposals, yet he's 17th for score involvements. Sheezy ball is what I'm calling it. Forget stat padding. He is getting the sheezies. He is getting far too many sheezies. He's not on Arden Street. He's on Sheezy Street, Hutchie. This is what he's doing. That is a sheezy. That is what I'm calling a stat padding sheezy straight up into the air. So 30 touches, 1 score involvement. So now he may be the least of their problems, but I'm telling you, Clarko has to coach this really hard. That is a sheezy. Another one, he takes the kick-ins.
What on earth was that? A sheezy? He must have said it a dozen times, and it got worse every time he did say it. Is it a cheap shot to use his last name to describe his play? Maybe, but it is, no pun intended, corny. The criticism is fair, albeit probably a touch harsh, but it was the nature of his criticism that lacked any class or nuance. It led to North Melbourne football boss Todd Viney blacklisting Cornes from the club, not just for his Sheezel commentary, but according to them, 2.5 years of vindictive and personal attacks. The blacklist included a demand that Cornes not feature in an interview with Alistair Clarkson on Channel 7, and no engagement with any North Melbourne people. But in classic Kane fashion, he had to respond. Was it an apology or recognition that the way he presented his criticism was a touch distasteful or too personal? Well, no. He doubled down and stood by his criticism, and clearly the way he presented it. We'll get back to Sheezy Ball a bit later on. How about his favourite coach, Luke Beveridge? I can't speak for everyone, but Beveridge's media involvement this year has been refreshing and showed a different side to him. Sure, he's had issues with certain portions of the media before, but his openness in 2025 about Jamari Ugle-Hagan, the Bulldogs evolving, and his own coaching future has been great to see. But not to Cornes. The latest run of media for Bevo was, to him, unauthentic.
With this PR campaign, and then they're winning, which is helping them.
Well, he's playing the media on a break, isn't he? I mean, I find it incredibly amusing that he's detested the media for such a long period of time, and then you're getting these sort of headlines. Yes,
happy snaps.
You sound like you've got an issue with it.
Well, it's just.
In fairness, he only detests some sections of the media.
Well, he hardly spoke to the media.
He had a very good relationship with Mark Robinson, previously chief footy writer of the Herald Sun, and that relationship has been continued through Jay Clark.
Did you see the interview on that?
So what you reckon it was a puff? These have been like puff pieces.
Yeah, I think he's sucked in the media. Right. So I don't think it's authentic.
Should you have an issue with him or a lack of journalistic integrity?
Okay, so Cornes has an issue with Beveridge talking to the media for no real reason, even though he has been critical of him not talking to the media and detesting it. Talk about being authentic. But hold on, Cornes is a real expert on Beveridge. He wrote this brilliant article in 2024 imploring the Dogs to sack Beveridge, noting defensive deficiencies and his strange tactical moves. Interesting. Let's fast forward to the end of 2024. The Bulldogs were the number 1 ranked defence, conceding 1,736 total points, the least in the AFL, and 2 of his tactical moves, Ed Richards on ball and Rory lob to defence, sparked the Bulldogs' second half of the season form. A lot of people said Aaron Norton had to be moved back, but did you hear any of these experts suggest Rory Lobb? But it gets better. In the article, Corns gave a suggestion of a new coach, GWS assistant Brett Montgomery. It just happens that Corns played with Montgomery in the early 2000s at Port Adelaide and won a premiership with him. Montgomery is a long-time and respected assistant in the AFL and in charge of the Giants' backline. The same backline that couldn't stop the Bulldogs scoring 113 points in round 7 without Sam Darcy, Cody Waitman and Jamara Ugle-Hagan. Now hindsight is a wonderful thing, but when you write an article to sack a coach at round 6, you can be made to look incredibly foolish. Throw in his questioning of Nick Dacos' professionalism after opening round where he cramped in incredibly hot and humid conditions, only to bounce back in the last few weeks to be his dominant self. Before that, he had a go at Richmond coach Adam Uze for having no aura, comparing him with Carlton coach Michael Voss. We all know what happened opening round, and the Tigers for the year have won 2 games, been impressive, and have clearly got developing players improving weekly. Sure, he's got some things right, but don't be fooled about everything he says. No one is a genius, and despite all the conviction he has in his opinions and thoughts, these are just some of the examples of him being plain wrong and off the mark. Not that he would even care. Of course, Corns knows some of the opinions he has will ruffle feathers. Sheezy ball is the most recent example. It's a little edgy and might cross the line, but gets everyone, and I mean everyone, talking, including myself. I do think Corns believes what he is saying. If he made it up, then he might be a true psycho, but he also knows that many of his opinions will garner attention and make his bosses happy. On the agenda setters, Craig Hutchison is often the instigator, getting Corns to go on his tangents, and then getting the other panel members to argue with him. It is all a little fabricated, as each segment beforehand is already laid out. His whole media career on television is to play the bad guy or villain, and he is doing it well. Although at the end of the day, we all need to remember Corns is just a guy. He did have a great AFL career, but he is no football Nostradamus or guru. He has an opinion like all of us that watch the game. Does he have more credibility or knowledge than the average Joe? Maybe, but again, the above opinions show he is no genius. But his ploy of having an understanding of what will frustrate fans and even clubs works. There is no doubt about it. SEN's Fireball Friday, which sees Corns and David King paired together, has been extended to a Monday edition as well. Now that only would have happened if the radio ratings were strong. On TV, the agenda setters is well in the hunt for viewers alongside Footy Classified, its main free-to-air rival, with Corns featuring on the Monday edition and hosting the Tuesday one. Over his years in the media, Corns has gained a supporter base. Yes, they might be hard to find, but clearly he is likeable enough for people to keep watching. If he was totally unlikable and annoying, then no one would watch. He is walking on the narrowest of tightropes, where some of his opinions can be too annoying, but just make enough sense in alignment with his own personality where people keep tuning in. But at the end of the day, the viewers are the real suckers like me. Those who hate him or his opinions are the ones who keep him employed. You can argue that AFL media is limited for choices, and Corns pops up on the internet without most of us wanting him to. But deep down, those who do follow his every word to hate or disagree can switch him off the screens. But for whatever reason, the data proves those people, or those who do genuinely enjoy his takes, can't get enough of him. Right now, Corns is the master of AFL media, but perhaps he's pushing the limits on what he can get away with.